because we've got a list of questions that if all you just go, duh, then we'll go to the list of questions. I would prefer it if you guys want to ask questions, because I always get a better response when someone asks a live question. So we're going to start. Where's our walking mics at? We got some walking mics? Go 1, 2. All right, we're going to try with asking live questions and see how that works out. If not, then we'll go to canned questions that I've already thought of answers for, which is never as much fun. All right? Who would like to answer the first question? It's got to be something you want to know, and it can't be something stupid like it's in the 2-day or. Got something, Kim, you want to ask a question? Go ahead. Now this is Kim McLean. Kim was part of that T&L group, the originals. And Kim came to me one day, and no, we were at a meeting. We were at a meeting at a vendor's office where they were trying to sell us on using them as a major vendor, right? And he's over there talking to some guy, and he goes, man, I don't know, I'm thinking about selling my apartments and buying some stocks or some bonds or something. And I'm listening to him talk and go, what the hell is he doing? So I go over and I go, what's the deal? He goes, well, John, I'm getting old now, and I don't really want to work anymore at my apartment. I go, well, I'm old and I don't work. He goes, yeah, but you're different. And, I can't really get anybody to do it for me. And and even then, there's the worries and this. I'm thinking I just want to sell and get out. And then we had some kind of conversation where I beat the living snot out of him verbally. And he ended up doing apartments for about another 5 or 10 years after that, and then he retired. So now he's going to ask a question. I want to give you the background on who this was. Go ahead.
What a great segue to my question. Okay, well, that was close to what I said, but anyway. You mentioned, I don't know, the radio or something, that you bought 3 grocery stores during the COVID. I assume they were triple nets?
Correct.
Okay, questions. Your triple nets, do you have debt on those?
I do not.
You bought them cash?
I did.
What cap rate did you get them at?
Everything from the lowest cap rate was 5 1/4, the highest was 6 1/2.
Okay. How did you locate them?
There's only 3 brokers in the whole country to sell them. I know all 3 brokers personally.
I don't know about that, but okay,
Well,
we'll go with that.
Let me rephrase it. There's 3 brokers in the country that sell 90% of them.
Okay.
Because the way it works is that these deals get built, the brand new ones get built, and they're sold before they're even built. So there's Dollar General, which is who I buy, has its qualified builders that can build, and there's only so many of those qualified builders, and all those qualified builders go to these 3 brokers because they specialize in selling these things before they're even built. So I'm buying stuff that's not even built yet. It's brand new the day I get it.
That's the next question. That's perfect. That's what I wanted to know. The other thing is, are you buying those near here? Are you buying them anywhere in the country?
Anywhere in the country. I have them, right now I have 11 different states.
Okay, and they're absolute...
12 different states now.
They're absolute...
No, 11. 11 states, 12 properties.
They're absolute triple net.
Absolute triple net with a company that's got 16,000 units, and they're ranked one of the highest, top 2 or 3 highest triple net companies in the country.
Awesome. Okay, triple net means, for those of you that don't know, it is you buy a property that has a tenant. Generally, it's one tenant, right?
The ones I buy are one tenant.
Right.
It could be multiple tenants, but it's very unique that way because normally you have to have a double net because when you have multiple tenants, you have to charge them part of the overhead.
Right. And you don't do anything. Nothing.
Nothing.
You don't pay insurance. You don't
No.
pay for rehab.
I do one thing.
Anything.
I pay the taxes at the end of the year and then bill it back to them and they pay me back.
Yes. So
That's the one thing I do, and that's a bitch too. Do you realize you have to go online and figure out where to pay, and then you have to put a check number in there, and it's God. Where's my butt out every year doing this?
So what you're realizing is every time I ask you questions, it's to try and figure out how I can do less and less and less.
Right, I figured it out. But here's the difference, okay? You got more in your question, I'll just keep going with you, or I can give you I'll give you the whole input on it.
Okay, I defer to Peter.
These are actually what my questions were about that I sent in. But what is the exit strategy on that? It is to hold a full 10 years? And if so, who redoes it after the 10 years?
Okay, a couple things. You guys are gonna hate this when I tell you. First of all, it's a 15-year lease with 2 5-year options.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm 66 years old, started doing it when I was 65. I figured,
So you willed them to me. I love you, Dad.
I will die. I will die before these leases are over, I guarantee you. And think if they don't. Let's say I die and I leave $100 million worth of warehouse space to my wife. Do you think she can sell it for something?
No, probably not.
Oh, she'll sell it in a second. Dollar Generals are the hottest thing on the market there is right now. They renew about 90% of the leases they have. The only ones they don't renew is because they're moving them to a new location with a larger store, a better store, is what I've done. And I didn't tell any of you guys about this because I don't want you doing it. Think about this. The mistake I made was to tell you guys how to do all this shit. If I hadn't taught you how to do this stuff, I could probably own almost every small apartment complex in the city right now because there'd be nobody to compete against me.
But then you'd be bored.
What?
You'd be bored.
I wouldn't be bored. I'd be working my ass off. Just
You don't like
Jim
that.
said. Now, you got to understand the thing about a triple net lease. It's kind of interesting. One, you could go into a commercial building and get your butt killed because if you can't replace the tenants, you've got a building and it's useless. Do you understand?
That's what I mean for the exit strategy. So if you lose that tenant somehow, or
That's why I'm only in these kind.
Okay.
Because these are the top tenants right now. There's really probably about 5 or 10 tenants that have the credit score rating that these guys have. And I've looked at all of them, but the deal with these is just, it was that 15-year lease, man.
Yeah,
And
that's
the original
awesome.
thing for me was just, and I didn't want to leave my family with a burden of operating 20 apartment complexes. You follow me?
Yeah.
And I don't want to work anymore. I got enough. The problem, guys, with triple net leases and commercial, and I've got to tell you the whole story or it could hurt, injure somebody. The reason I went to triple net leases is because I'm worth over $100 million and I make over $1 million a month now. And I don't need money at all, period. But I got money and I don't know what the hell to do with it. And I don't want to buy any more businesses that I have to work in, if that makes sense. So I'm starting a real estate company, and the reason I start real estate companies all over the country is one simple reason. I don't have a broker's license. What does that mean? I can't work there. Do you understand that? I can't work there because I don't have a broker's license. There has to be a broker. So by the very need of there being a broker to run it, there's no need for me to run it. Does that make sense? Now I just bought a mortgage company. Guess what there has to be? A broker. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So I don't do anything. I don't want to do anything. And I wanted something that was long-term. When I saw these things for 15 years, I happened to be with a neighbor of mine 2 doors down. And I said, what do you do for a living? Because the guy was like, you know, guys like us, you have no idea what that guy in that neighborhood where every house costs $5 million, $10 million. What do they all do? And you try to ask them, they won't tell you. Because most of them own some kind of business or other or whatever. And I go, well, what are you doing? He goes, well, my dad was in real estate. And then my brother and myself got into real estate with my dad. And I go, so what do you do? You apartments? No, we've done a couple of apartments. We didn't really like them. But what do you do? Well, we own these little grocery store things and some strip shopping centers. And, it took me months to get anything out of this guy. Do you realize how hard it is? if Lifestyles wasn't here, the stuff you guys know right now, you would never get your hands on that information, I guarantee you. It's not. Now, we take it for granted here. Do you all understand that? We all take it for granted. I can just ask her, I don't know who you are. Tell me how much money you have, and I'll tell you what you can do with it. But in any normal place, you go to a party, you talk to a guy like, hey, how much money you got? What do you do for a living? Who the hell are you? Right? It would be a war. You would be ostracized. So I'm trying to get this information from the guy, and I finally get it out of him after, like 2 or 3 times of taking him out drinking and stuff. It's the only way you can get stuff out of people. You got to go take them out drinking. And you get some stuff. And so I figured it out, so I started looking into it. And I thought about it, I go, wow. The fact that it's a 15-year lease, and I started figuring, I was told, and from, a lot of you know me, some of you just don't, it's new. But for 35 years now, I've told everybody that I was going to die when I was 65 years of age. Why? Because my dad died at 66, and my grandfather died at 66. And so I felt like, and my great-grandfather died at 67, and so like nobody really lived past 65 in my family, the males, they all died. The women lived forever, but the males all died, right? So I thought, I got to get it out of me by 65. I got to, burn hard, leave a good-looking corpse, that kind of stuff. And so everybody that knows me knows I've literally believed that for years. And then I almost died of cancer. I almost died of staph. And like for every year you come back to the case studies and usually go, what the hell died of this year? Because I was sick every year. Something was wrong. And so, I just figured I was going to die. And not by trying to. I want you to understand this. I'm not morbid. I just thought I was going to die. But I figured I better at least make sure I had done everything I wanted to do by the time I was 65, including be rich by age 65. So then I got to 65 and I go, all right, and what you don't understand about money, guys, is it grows exponentially. It blew my mind. You go from having $1 million, it will take you your whole life to get to $1 million, and then a year later you got 2. And then 2 years later you got 10. And then 2 more years you got 50. You go, where's this coming from? I killed myself to get 1, do you understand? But it grows exponentially, especially if you put it all back in. And you have to understand, this home right here, if this were in Memorial, if this were in California, this is a $50 million or $20 to $50 million home anywhere else. I bought it for $2.5 million. I paid cash for it. I bought it by taking some guy's mortgage. Well, I won't tell you those stories, but he went broke and I took it. I just paid his mortgage off and took that. So, but the bottom line is that you get to this point where you don't need any more money. Are you with me? But then 2 things kick in. 1, what do I do with the money I have? And I know what you're all going to say. Just give it to me. Right? And the answer is, hell no. No. Second thing is it kicks in is, I was a bodybuilder from 200-pound fat kid in 4th grade. I wanted to be the best built guy I could be. I did. I went from broke to being a millionaire. I did. I remember, and I have a goal. This is a financial goal. It's a weird one. I've never really thought about this until just recently. Once I actually did my net worth calculation. I did it the way it should be done, and I did it the way they wanted me to do it. They wanted me to do it so it was as low as possible, so that I couldn't claim anything being worth anything in case the Democrats got control. And they started a net assets tax. Are you aware that they want to do a net assets tax?
Yeah.
And then there's the way I should have done it, which is to take what my businesses actually earn and then do a cap rate on them and figure out what they're worth, right? And then people go, well, you can't do a cap rate on your businesses because you work in them, so they don't really mean anything. I go, fuck you. I don't work in them. And I've made it a point to never show up. I don't have a key to any office. I don't do any accounting. I don't call any employees. I have one person, Lynn Burrow, runs my company. Give her a hand. I die tomorrow, you guys will go like, did you hear? Hear what? Dell's gone. Oh, that's okay. Nice guy.
Asleen.
If you hear Lynn died, go, oh shit, what are we going to do? So, I was just in that situation where I realized I didn't need any more money, but I knew that I had to put my money somewhere because I wanted to get to this number as just a goal in life, right? And so you say, well, what's that number? Does anybody remember when Ross Perot ran for president?
Yeah.
That's like big interview.
And Barbara Walters was interviewing him. Or no, Major Applewhite, which was his running mate.
Yeah.
There's a brain for you. And she goes, Major, do you think it's fair that a millionaire runs for president? And Major Applewhite looks at her and goes, I'm sorry, Barbara, but Ross is not a millionaire. He's a billionaire. Ross makes $1 million a week. And I'm like, holy shit. What would you do with $1 million a week? Well, I found out now that I make $1 million a month. And so I'm thinking, you think I could do 4 times that? Think about that. Exponentially, I've grown so rapidly, and I'm building all these different companies. Now that I have real estate agencies in 10 states, I have mortgage companies in 10 states, I have lifestyles all over the country. Now, remember before, and think about that, COVID put most businesses out of business, it tripled us. Because we went online. We never would have gone online. I can't even hook up to the internet. But because we had to, we did, right? Now we're 3 times as big as we were. So, because of that, I thought, well, if I make $1 million a month, if I could get it to be just $1 million a week, and then I remembered the Major Applewhite story. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I had a new goal. There's something to live for. Maybe I could live 15 years to the end of those leases. So that's what it is. So guys, here's what you need to know. Buying these commercial buildings, I'm going to go back to your question for you and Kim. There's no exit strategy for these. You sell them. You sell them at whatever cap rate the income is, and if they move out and they're empty, you got to go find somebody else to stick in it. Now you can find people to lease them up, you know, but other than that, but I'm not worried about that because I got 15 years, all right? I'll worry about that 15 years from now. By the way, at 80 years of age, if they're vacant, I might sell them for cheap, you know what I mean? I don't care. I won't buy, because by then my net worth will be so large it really won't matter, type thing. Secondly, is the leverage? No. So when you get into lifestyles, you have to realize there's actually about 4 different levels of wealth. There is that broke-ass person that can't pay their bills, can't balance their checkbook, have bad debt. Most of you are not that person, you understand? That's not where most of you started. Those people used to join lifestyles, and I used to try to convince them not to join lifestyles. Please don't do it. And I'd insult people on the radio in the seminar, and I'd use all kinds of mean things to say. Most of the people would leave the seminar crying. Why? Because I didn't want to consult them. I got nothing, and I'm in deep debt, and I think I want to be a millionaire like you. What's my first step? And my answer was, kill yourself. I mean, I didn't know what to tell them. What do you tell a guy? The second set of people are those people out there that just got a job, they're working, they're getting by, and they're just trying to be Americans, just do the job, you know what I mean? To pay their bills. They're probably your kids, my kids, and most people we need, right? They're just trying to get along. And they don't understand money at all. They really don't. And they live paycheck to paycheck, and they want stuff. What's weird, those people have been socialized to believe that whatever we have, they should be able to have too. And that's where the Democrats now have got them all believing not only that, they shouldn't have to work to have what we have, right? So it's just a weird group of people that some transfer over though. The radio show gets those people, does that make sense? They listen to common sense long enough, they start coming around to it. Then the next level is like most of you in this room, which is middle management people, engineers, doctors, CPAs, mid-management. You guys make good money, you have good jobs, you're probably highly educated, or at least, what would you call it? At least one level of college educated type of thing. And you've got money, and you're not broke, but you just don't know what to do with the money. And you say, well, I got money, but how much is money? Well, $200,000 to me when I was a kid, when I started buying real estate, that's a lot of money. And you got $200,000 in the equity in your home. Heck, if you live in California, you probably got $1 million or $2 million in the equity in your home, right? So you got money, you just don't know what to do with it. Those people whose lifestyles really, really benefits the most, because they can take those resources they already have and they can start to exponentiate them. Then you go above that and you go to the level that really all these top leads have gotten to, and I got to, and that's where you have $1 million, 10 million, maybe 20 million, maybe 50 million, and you've got a lot of money. And your life is not the same anymore. It's completely different. I just don't know what to say. I mean, it's completely different in every way, shape, and form. But then there's these guys above that. There's these guys that are worth hundreds of millions or billions. Nowadays it's billions. You know, you think about $1 million nowadays, nothing compared to what it was 20 years ago. But I mean, there's 20-year-old girls that have $1 billion. And you go, yeah. And I thought I was smart. How many guys here think you're smart to see a 20-year-old kid got $1 billion? But I'm getting my boobs done tomorrow. I'm getting ass implants too, I'm telling you. I'm gonna walk around looking like a blown up Barbie doll. If it means $1 billion, right? I'm just kidding you. You all know that was a joke. You got to be politically sensitive today. I was talking to a guy in the gym who was working out. When he got up off the thing, I go, can I use the machine while you're working out? He goes, no. I go, what do you mean no? He goes, no, I want to do this by myself. And he just sat there on his phone with it, you know. And I said, dude, do me a favor. Either work out or stop and get on the phone and take your phone to go do shit, but don't sit on the machine and talk to the phone guys. I can't believe you talk to me that way. And I said, I know. You probably can't believe I kicked your ass either, but I will. So that wasn't that bad. I went to the next machine, and another little guy was on the machine. I go, can I work in with you? He goes, he's a little teeny little guy, man. Maybe weighed like 85, 90 pounds. And he goes, yeah, oh, okay. He goes, let me wipe it down for you. You don't need to wipe it down. I said, I'm 66 years old. I've been working out since I was 14 years old. I've laid in every person's sweat I've ever met in my entire life. And I've never gotten sick from it once. I don't need that. He goes, well, it's the polite and appropriate and politically correct thing to do. I go, dude, I don't know if you're a damn Democrat and you're doing this because you're scared shitless that you'll make somebody upset, or you're a Republican and you're doing it because you want to make God happy. But whatever it is, I'm neither of those, so get off the damn machine so I can work out. And I said, and then I put out my picture when I was Mr. Texas. So by the way, here's what I looked like when I was your age. And all of a sudden the guy was like the happiest guy in the world. Can you tell me how to do this? What do I eat? What do I do? So, I don't even know where I was going with all that. Except that, it was just, I had to get out the story. It happened last week. I had to get those stories out. I hadn't told them live yet. They're just crazy. How many people think things are too, what's the word for politically correct? How many people think it's too politically correct, right? I do too, but everywhere I go, I have to take an attorney now. Sitting next to me, it's right there. He's got a hook. They got the mic, it's being recorded, it's being cut off, you know. And they took my radio show off of live. What? It's a rich person problem, yeah. They took my radio show off of live and put me on record. And now they record me and then they come back and clean it up. Let's go to the next question, because I think, did we cover that well enough about, I wanted to make the point about this, and this was very important. You don't do commercial real estate to get started in your wealth building. Does that make sense? You need either the houses where you capture massive amounts of equity that change value very rapidly because they're going up in value by appreciation, whereas my commercial deals don't go up in value because of appreciation. It doesn't work that way. They're locked into the same income for 15 years, which means their value's the same. Are you with me? So they're not a good wealth building investment. They're a wealth maintenance with lack of activity investment. Are you following me? That's the only people who should consider them. Everybody else should be doing houses or apartments. I just want to make sure I got that across to you. Next question. Got one here.